Hey, friendos, welcome back to the Four Lights Podcast. Once again, I am Steve here, as always, and I am joined today, again, as always, by Big Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Awesome. I'm doing really good. I'm really excited that we get to now talk about where no one has gone before. I thought this was a quality first season episode right here.
I think this is one of the better episodes in the first season.
Yeah. I really like when they play with... I like when they play even the titleless episode where no one has gone before. I like the exploratory nature of Star Trek whenever it goes to that, which, I mean, that was one of the central things about Voyager that I always kind of appreciated, and they got a little kind of goofy for me.
Yeah.
But I really like this episode in that they were really exploring some ideas, some very general, kind of cool ideas. I mean, sometimes they're kind of corny, but some cool ideas about the nature of space travel, of the universe, how far out there we can go, where the human race is headed in terms of their knowledge base. I thought there was a lot of cool concepts in this.
Oh, absolutely.
And then there was also some pretty funny stuff that we can talk about too. So all in all, I thought this was a really cool episode. It kicked off with the Enterprise hooking up with the USS Fearless, which I felt was a fairly lazily named ship.
Very lazily named. I mean, sort of goes in the pantheon of lazy sci-fi things, like
right.
like unobtainium.
What is that from?
Avatar?
Are you? I never saw that.
I've never seen it either, to be honest.
Is that a real thing?
Yeah.
Though? That's
the
terrible.
thing that they. Yeah, that's the big thing that they need to mine. It's it's called unobtainium.
That's so awful.
Yeah,
that's so bad. Yeah, the fear. So because we've had like, what was the one we had, the Tsiolkovsky before? I mean, if you can name your ship after like a name of somebody that I can't even really pronounce, you're doing a good job.
That's great.
That's awesome, right?
Somebody I got to look up and be like, oh yeah, he was an
Yes.
expert in
wow.
propulsion or something like that.
What a
Like,
perfect
that's
name.
interesting. Sure.
You're like, what are we gonna call this one?
The Fearless.
Fearless. Can
That's
we
a
go-
bro ship right there. That's like, why don't you just call it the USS Tap Out?
Yes. The USS Ed Hardy. Oh, man. So anyways, they're hooking up with the USS Fearless because they have on their ship an engineer-type guy named Kozinski and his alien assistant who doesn't have a name. The USS Fearless is the latest in a group of Starfleet ships that has benefited from Kozinski's
Theories on warp and propulsion?
So apparently, like, from what I could tell, he was sort of just jacking around with the dilithium crystal mix, the equations that go into whatever the hell propels the ships. The great thing is every single turn, every single time this guy starts talking about what he does, they're like, this is pure gibberish.
Yeah, it's great. I like it. Riker's so mad about... He's like, yeah, we ran his numbers. They're gibberish. Well, it's nonsense.
Here's what cracks me up about this. It's one of those little things. We've talked about this before, how like, wait, did he record that data, that log entry in the turbo lift? Because, so like, the first shot is the Enterprise and the Fearless riding side by side. Then we're on the bridge, and we're listening to Captain Picard's captain's log. Mm-hmm. But if you see the people on the bridge, they're all silent. They're all just chilling in silence. Picard's first line is, Riker, I don't see what your problem is with this guy because it doesn't seem like anything he's doing can hurt us. We didn't see Riker ever actually objecting to this, so we can assume that he did it. And there was a long pause. Mm-hmm. and then Picard was like, I don't see what your problem is with this, man. So... it's those little things, those little directorial things that kind of crack me up a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So Picard's like, what's your deal with this? What's your problem with this? And Riker, like you said, he's like, dude, the specifications, they're pure crap. But apparently, according to Picard, he says, why is it then that like all these ships that he's worked on, they've had like vast improvements in their propulsion systems and their engines. Everything's been great. And Riker postulates, it sounds with some logic behind it. He says, well, our engines are brand new. We've been out of space dock for only a year. Those are older ships. Maybe he's just, fine tuning them. Maybe he's just making them more efficient.
Cleaned up the engine somewhere.
He got in there.
Efficient,
put some WD-40 in there, maybe. Yeah, exactly.
Put some nitrous oxide in there.
I have no idea if that's a real thing. I'm not a big engine
that works on
guy.
race cars.
Oh, okay.
That's a thing.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know.
I don't think it's going to work on a spaceship, but
yeah, probably not. But anyways, yeah, Riker is pretty in the wood about all this, and Picard doesn't seem worried at all. He's like, what harm could
Picard's
it really
a results guy. He's like, he's getting results.
Yeah, why question it? Yeah.
Let's give him a crack at it.
Yeah, he's not throwing kids in the freaking engine. Come on.
I think Picard would like that. He'd be like, let's get rid of these damn kids.
Is there any way we can get rid of these kids? Toss them in the warp drive. Anyways, Riker, so Picard, he says, well, look, if you have a problem with this, you go meet him down there in the transport room. It's a very clever way of Picard to get out of talking to people.
Yeah.
Because I feel like he doesn't like doing that.
Picard's really good at getting out of talking to people.
He is.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, for a guy who's actually incredibly good at diplomacy.
Yeah.
He does not like dealing with people.
No, he did. Geordi, go down engineering.
Yeah.
Riker, go after Geordi. God forbid he goes down there. I'm going to send out, what he's in that first episode, I'm going to send out some printed instructions to the entire crew. And
it's still so fascinating.
It's really weird.
It's
do they come through the replicators?
Do they have to replicate paper and also a printer?
Right. Yeah, do they have to replicate the printer first? Or does it just like they replicate the message on paper?
And wait, if you're replicating printed instructions, how is that harder to intercept than just audio?
Yeah, because you still have to send that.
It's still a data.
Yeah.
It's just still information.
The only way that plan would have worked in that first episode is if he had somebody literally write down on a sheet of paper and then had a Xerox machine not hooked up to their Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Anyways, Riker's fears are, however, somewhat validated by the fact that the dude who beams over, who, by the way, I've seen this actor in a million different places. He looks a lot like Jeffrey Combs.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like, because Jeffrey Combs, he was in a lot of Star Trek. He would have been great in this role.
Would have been awesome.
But the actor they got was great, too.
He's really good.
He was really good. But anyways, like I was saying, Riker's fears are a bit validated by the fact that Kozinski beams over. He's wearing a Starfleet uniform with no communicator badge, but he has a homemade pip.
It's a weird. So pips are the rank designation pins that go on the collar.
The little circles, yeah.
And they're all little circles. And like 1 is an ensign, and 2 is like a lieutenant, et cetera, et cetera. 4 is like a captain, and then you can have one that's black inside, and then that. It's like a chevron on a Navy uniform.
Yeah, sure, yeah,
It's just a system.
Yeah.
This guy Kozinski has a weird rectangular pip
right.
that looks really out of place.
Yeah, and you never see it again. I looked in the companion, the Star Trek companion you sent me, and sure enough, it verifies in there. You never see that again.
So I think that the implication is he is
like a
sort
consultant.
of a consultant or a civilian expert allegedly who's working with Starfleet. But if that's the case, why does he wear a Starfleet uniform?
Because we've seen a lot of other civilians
he could just
don't wear that.
civilian clothes on, and that's more appropriate.
I wonder, I don't know if this was the case, but given that Kozinski wants to be something that he's not.
He's a big ego guy, like maybe he just insisted, hey, I should have a Starfleet uniform. I want people to answer to me as they would a Starfleet officer. And eventually he probably just talked somebody into giving him a uniform. Or he just ordered one on Amazon. He was just like, screw you, I'm going to get my own.
He just replicated it. On the Fearless. He was like, man, nobody's paid attention to me. I want to wear one of those Starfleet uniforms. Replicate me a green one. Or a yellow one, whatever they are, mustard.
It's like a mustard color.
Yeah. Anyways, he shows up. He's got an assistant with him who's got weird hands. He's got kind of weird dick hands.
Got like three fingers. Like they did a cool makeup thing where they joined these fingers and these fingers.
Yeah, and a big thumb.
And he's got a big thumb.
He's got weird like fingernails too.
He's got a big pronounced brow.
Yeah. Interesting about the actor who played
Eric Menyuk.
He was up for Data.
Came very close to getting cast as Data.
He could have been Data. So, and I thought he was really good. He's really good as a traveler.
His performance as a traveler, I think, is one of the best performances as a sort of semi-omnipotent character.
Yeah, he's got a very calming presence. Like immediately, he's got a very calming, sort of soft presence that you immediately feel like, oh man, this guy there's a bit more to this guy.
He's actually one of my favorite characters. I wish that they had explored more.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm the only thing that I'm kind of bummed out about is that they linked him so close to West so quickly.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that was kind of, it was a little wonky.
Yeah.
But I thought that his character, like I actually really liked, it's funny because I think some people crap on this episode, but I really liked the one where he was involved with Crusher and with Beverly Crusher when she was missing everybody. I think that was that episode, right?
I think so.
Was that the episode?
That's a couple seasons away, right?
Yeah, it was a while after. Yeah. I think maybe I'm mixing up episodes.
That sounds familiar.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, it is. It is. I think it is. Anyways, we'll find out in a couple months. So anyways, they show up, and the traveler, the alien, he's just the assistant. He's like, I don't have a name that's pronounceable by your standards. And Riker points out that he's from, is it Tau Ceti 3 or C or Tau Alpha something or another?
I didn't even write that down.
I forget where he's from. He's from some really super distant planet that starts with Tau, and I forget if it's Alpha or Ceti. In any event, he's from very far away, and he's like, yeah, but I'm just the assistant. Kaczynski immediately is a prick. He's an asshole.
Huge prick.
Riker and Troy, and I think was Argyle there?
Argyle shows up at that point around that.
Okay, yeah.
He's another in a string of. I wrote down.
Oh, he's was
another
there,
in a string of who are they? Chief of engineering guys, just guys that just show up and they're, oh hey chief.
Yeah.
And it's like they never really built for most of the first season. They never really.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe they just went into the show and they didn't have a chief engineer. Or they hadn't really landed on the idea, or maybe they wanted to build Geordi to a point where they're like, no, Geordi, like they promoted Geordi into the role.
I wonder if, I kind of wonder if they didn't suspect they would be going to engineering as often as they ended up doing.
Yeah.
And so maybe they're like, well, crap, we have like our core cast. Why don't we go ahead and promote, one that makes the most sense was Geordi, because he was just like a junior, lieutenant junior class. Mm-hmm. He doesn't really do, he's at the navigation, but then Wes does that sometimes. Let's just promote him. But anyways, he's there, Troy's there, and Riker's there. Troy immediately she's put off by him. She's like, he's arrogant, he's full of himself, all this is obvious.
It's very obvious. Like her read as a semi-empath or a partial empath and the ship's counselor is straight up basic freshman college stuff.
Right,
like,
exactly,
you took a freshman level college psych class. Like, everybody knows that already. Like, do you have any kind of actual insight?
Right. And then of course when he's like, well, what about the alien? She's like, nothing. Clean slate. Have no idea what's going on in that guy's head. I don't even know what I'm doing here. Yeah. I'm like, why are you paying me? So anyways, that's the intro. We're down in engineering when we come back. Kaczynski, he's just being a dick. Mm-hmm. He says, before you start asking me questions, let me go ahead and assume that you have run all my tests that I sent you over first, and nothing happened. And he's like, so we're just going to go ahead and do this. Argyle's like, look, man, I just want you to explain to us what you're doing. And he's like, I am not a teacher. I don't want to be a teacher. I don't need to explain shit to you. It's been approved by Starfleet. And Riker takes great delight in saying, yeah, but it hasn't been approved by me or Argyle or Captain Picard. And he's like, let me talk to Captain Picard. And Riker says, it's not going to get you anywhere. So Kaczynski gets pissed off. He starts explaining this stuff, but his explanation is just pure. Like, even I can tell.
Sure.
And I'm not an engineer in Starfleet. Even I can tell that it's just pure BS. He's talking
drivel.
about,
it's circuitous nonsense.
Yeah. He's like, you think of things of going from, a straight line, point A to B. Well, anybody who knows anything about warp technology is that it's just bending space and time.
You're bending space, yeah.
You're not actually going in a straight line.
Sure.
So, like, why would anybody assume that? He's like, you think about it this way, but it's actually this way. And it's just a bunch of complete nonsense. Sounds like a brain tonic salesman from the Frontier days. Mm-hmm. In any event, his basic concept is these engines are built a certain way. In a very general way, I fine-tune them. That's kind of the gist of what he's getting at. For some reason, Wes is there, and that's the one thing that I'm with on Kaczynski. He's like, why is that child here?
It seems inappropriate.
It really does. Yeah. And so anyways, like, where are his friggin' friends? Why is he not in school? Anyways, I mean, I guess it's good he's not making another Picard soundboard.
That was great.
Yeah, it was. Anyways, Riker then huddles with Argyle. It was a great moment. Riker and Argyle huddle. And he's like, should we do this? And Argyle's like, yeah, I don't see how it could do anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's all meaningless.
Yeah. So, I mean, Data and Riker ran Kaczynski's numbers, his specs, and realized that it's nonsense. Argyle has looked over him as well. They all are in agreement that it's meaningless. So.
Yeah. And they're saying this just right in front of him, ignoring him. He gets pissed off and says, "Don't talk about me like I'm in the third person, like I'm not here. I'm standing right here." And then Riker looks over at him, looks back at Argyle. "So we should do this?" "Yeah, I think we should do this." It was a great little moment. It's really fun. Riker was just trolling the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Anyways, they kick off the experiment. The alien traveler guy is sitting over sort of at the station facing the warp engine. And then Riker and Argyle and Kaczynski are all at the little like conference table type thing with all the buttons on it. And so they start off going warp 1.5. The alien is sitting there doing like this stuff, and he's dicking with the before they actually kick into warp, the alien and Wes have a little conversation about the warp bubble around the ship. And Wes impresses the alien by saying, "Well, maybe you should do it like this, or you should do it like this." And the alien's like, "It's obvious."
It seems like the alien is just impressed by Wes having the ability to recognize different ways of doing things, or sort of a confidence or a lack of fear in trying different things.
Yeah.
And also the imagination to be like, "Oh, there's so many ways that you could handle a problem."
Yeah. He's sort of unfettered by, the stuff that he might be taught down the line not to do.
Yeah.
Wes's imagination is such that he can imagine this stuff, and he's got an intuition for it.
Yeah.
So anyways, okay. So no, this is what happens. Yeah, they actually do start going into warp 1.5. The alien gets distracted by Wesley and being impressed by him, which actually causes him to lose his train of thought, and it sends the ship past warp 10.
Yeah.
The ship and the effects, and I'm not sure what it looked like in the original version. How much of what we saw on Netflix now is part of the remaster?
Yeah, that's a good point.
In any event, they did. So I'm almost positive that when they arrive the first time, like 2 galaxies down, that stuff looks new.
It probably is.
I seem to remember the sequence with like all the stuff going by and then the Enterprise going into like super warp. That all felt like it was the same at the same time. Like I feel like they didn't really mess with that too much. They might have cleaned it up, but that looks pretty much the same. And it's really cool. It's a really cool effect. Like the Enterprise like really kicks it, like it stretches out, it kicks into warp, and it's a really cool thing. So anyways, they're going super, super fast. Picard says, "We're going way too fast. Reverse the engines." And Data's like, "Are you sure you want to do that? It's probably a terrible idea because nobody's done that before."
So yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is like theoretically going past warp 10 is impossible in the Star Trek universe.
Because is warp 10 like the speed of light?
No. This came up in a previous episode that somebody talked to me about. I think that so the way that warp speed works is, as you approach warp 1, warp 1 is the speed of light.
Okay.
As you approach warp 1, those different levels of impulse are just approaching the speed of light. Every warp after warp 1 is like sort of factoring up a speed of light.
Okay.
Warp 10 is sort of like a line of demarcation of impossibility, because as you get closer to warp 10, you're essentially bending space to a point where you would be everywhere at the same time.
Okay. All right.
So, and this is explored in sci-fi elsewhere. I wrote this down. I'll just do, well, first, I will say I'm always a big fan of ludicrous speed, because from Spaceballs,
yeah, sure,
it's very silly to think that you can go beyond a speed or at a speed so fast where you be everywhere at once. So Mel Brooks calling that ludicrous speed, I was always a big fan of. Also, the infinite improbability drive from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, in the movie that portrays that when you're going so fast that you extended to sort of a different part of existential being, is fun. But going beyond warp 10 is theoretically impossible. And this is a little misstep in my opinion. They do it again later in Star Trek continuity in Voyager. Which is weird. Yeah, they do that a lot. They find different propulsion systems in Voyager to go faster than warp 10. And I never gave it any thought
that warp 10. Was there the warp scale in the original series?
I think it was largely arbitrary.
Yeah.
Just like the system of star dates when they were doing the original series was largely arbitrary.
I thought I remember there was some link, and I'd have to research it now that I forget. But the original warp speeds, I thought in the movies, didn't they wasn't it like warp 1 through 10 in the original series? And then that was like warp 10 became like the new warp 1 after like Star Trek 4. So I don't know what it was. I don't know. Who knows?
That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, something like that.
It'd be about like almost 100 years before this show takes place.
Yeah.
So in that intervening decades, they would have changed the system of propulsion. So it's moving a lot faster, and they need to update the scale. Yeah.
Another thing. So the alien starts phasing in and out of existence.
Well, that's the interesting thing is he gets distracted. It looks like the traveler touches like a weird button and then is like, oh, what did I do? And then puts his hands on the panel and sort of phases out of existence to try to regain control of the ship.
Yeah. So anyways, the great thing is too, there's one reaction shot of Kaczynski as it's happening, and he's going like this. Like this. And I'm like, bro, all eyes are on you.
Yeah.
You have to own this shit now because this is probably not supposed to happen. Anyways, the Enterprise ends up, and again, I'm not sure if this was in the original one or if it's just in the remaster, but they did a really good job of making the spacescape that they ended up in, which is supposed to be 2 million light years away, galaxies over.
3 million light years away.
Oh, was it
Galaxy
3? Okay.
M33. Yeah.
Okay. So it's 2 galaxies over 3 million light years away.
2.8 million light years.
Okay.
Pretty close to 3 million.
Is M33 a real thing?
Yep.
Oh, cool. Right on. That's awesome.
It is about 3 million light years away from Earth. Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool. So they did a beautiful job with it's sort of like, it's kind of like this tone right here. It's kind of like a fuchsia kind of like sort of themed area, which made it look different than anything we had seen before in Star Trek and kind of anything afterwards too.
Yes.
Like there isn't that. The sort of the wonky thing about that though, that's kind of annoying that they didn't go back with Voyager and deal with this. But so they're 3 million light years away. They said it would take over 300 years to get home.
Yes.
Voyager was 70,000 light years away, and that was supposed to take them 75 years to get home. The math doesn't really add up there. But maybe Voyager just had like a better propulsion system or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, it would have been.
Geordi says it would have
been the Enterprise would have had.
Geordi said it would take 300 years at maximum warp.
Yeah.
Which would be just shy of warp 10.
Right.
Again, warp 10 is theoretically impossible.
But that's 3 million light years away as opposed to Voyager, which is only 70,000 light years away.
Yeah.
And it would take whatever. I mean, that's just minutia. So anyways, Kaczynski then has to face Picard, goes to the bridge, says, I made a mistake. But he seems pretty happy about it because he's like, well, I didn't blow up the ship and we're like super far away. Probably get us back home.
Kaczynski's weird, unfounded confidence is somehow returned. Even though we as the audience are clearly like, oh, Kaczynski is full of shit.
Yeah.
This is all 100% the Traveler. Like he's in control.
Yeah.
For some reason, Kaczynski still hasn't realized this, or is just unwilling to give up on his foundation of bullshit and like, I'm the best. I've got this all figured out. He's like, Picard, I got it. I made a minor miscalculation in the Bessel functions, whatever that is. I don't know.
And Picard even says, do you have any idea? He goes to Riker. Do you guys have any idea what this man just said? And Riker said, sounds like a lot of nonsense, but look where we are right now. And Picard's like, yeah, I guess so. But no, for whatever reason, Kaczynski has completely and totally bought into his own lie. That's obscene. So anyways.
I mean, the weird thing is that at no point does anybody posit the idea that maybe they're not actually 3 million light years away, because that is impossible.
Yeah.
No one's ever like, wait a second.
Maybe our sensors.
I mean, maybe somebody probably says sensor malfunctions are off. No, we triple checked.
Yeah.
It still seems like, no, that's just impossible.
Right. Like, yeah.
Everybody's like, all right, well, how do we get back? Or should we just like knock off and start exploring? What are we going to do?
Which I thought, why would you like just take an hour? launch some probes.
Yeah.
See what's out there.
They could definitely have probes.
Yeah. Like just for an hour.
Even if they send out some probes, like ideally, the presumption would be like, okay, we're going to figure this out. We'll get home. Mm-hmm. What if we just left something here?
Yeah.
What if we just like shot out a flag or like a Voyager type time capsule or something like that, just to be like, maybe in a couple million years, humans will make it back out here, and then we'll be like, oh, this is great,
Or maybe even like send out something with, I don't know how far subspace goes in terms of being able to communicate subspace wise, but like send something out that can communicate via subspace, and then maybe at some point in the next 50 years, even if you're not however many million, what is it? How far away is this? 2 million, 3 million.
3 million.
Even if we can't get 3 million light years away, maybe we can get, maybe our subspace technology is enough that we can find this thing and then get some more information. Yeah. There's any number of things, like even if they were there for a week, you're a starship. Like, how can you not justify that to like Starfleet? Like, hey, we were there, we took full advantage. Our goal is to seek out new life, new civilizations to go where no one has gone before. But we're here for about 30 minutes. We need to get back home.
You are 100% where no one has ever gone before.
Exactly.
And your immediate response is, well, we should get back.
I'm sure Starfleet can send any number of other people out here. Why are you not? And Data's the one who's like, Captain.
Data's into it.
We are out here.
I'm kind of with him.
Yeah, me too. I was like, dude, be out there for like a week. Yeah. So like, there's been episodes, or at least one episode. Remember that one where the Enterprise was caught in a time loop?
Yes.
And they broke out of it, and they were like,
good episode, actually.
That was a great episode. Like, how long were we in that? For like a week or whatever it was. Like, they've been in, that's a great excuse to take a week and do, like, Starfleet will be like, man, where's the Enterprise? It's lost. All right. A week later, hey, no damage done. We're still here. It's not like they were on no wars are going to break out in a week because the Enterprise is gone. You're not missing anything. Just stay out there, explore. But Picard's like, nah, he can probably do it again. Even though Picard can tell that Kaczynski's full of crap, and this was an accident.
Yeah.
So anyways.
I mean, presumably they'd sent something. I think they do actually, they mention it, that they send some sort of subspace communication.
Oh, okay.
But I believe, and I didn't write this down, I just sort of remember it happening. Mm-hmm. I believe Geordi's like, yeah, whatever subspace communication we send is going to take like 57 years.
Oh, okay.
To get back to known space.
Yeah.
So,
well, all right. Well, I guess they did do that then. So anyways, let's see here. Kaczynski makes more.
Yeah, back in engineering, the Traveler is very sick. He's very ill. And
he's not doing good.
Wesley is worried about the Traveler, but also asks the Traveler if the math formulas that he saw that the Traveler were using indicate that space and time and thought are not the separate things that they appear to be.
Yeah.
And the Traveler
freaks out.
Yeah. As ill as he is immediately like, Wesley, don't ever talk about that dangerous nonsense.
Yeah.
In a time that's not ready for it.
Right. Yeah. So he sees,
which is kind of a cool moment, and that's also like just a fucking fantastic concept.
Mm-hmm. It is.
That space and time and thought are not separate things, that the reality that we live in is actually manifest from our perception of it. Mm-hmm. That's a great playground to be in, especially for a work of fiction, which is like pure thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and it comes up later in a great conversation between the Traveler and Picard as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, we go back to the bridge, and Kaczynski is already taking the suggestion made in jest by Commander Argyle that they name the new standard of speed after Kaczynski.
Yeah.
And Kaczynski's taking him, obviously.
We should call it a Kaczynski,
sure. We should do that,
yeah.
Absolutely. That was a great idea because I did everything. That's when the senior staff has the conversation about should we stay or should we go. Mm-hmm. Back in engineering, Wesley says, Riker, listen, it has nothing to do with Kaczynski. It was a freaking alien over there. And Riker says, shut the fuck up, dude.
Riker's just blowing Wesley off.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Wes has it figured out.
Yeah, he has it all figured out. And Riker's like, dude, do not say another word, all right, or you're out of here. Anyways, Wesley then does a little great thing, and he's like, hey, your buddy's really tired. He shouldn't do this. Why don't you do it on your own? And Kaczynski's like, fine, I will do it on my own. And the alien says, no. You don't know what you're doing. I'll do it. I'm fine. I'm good to go. So they then decide to turn around, go back to Warp 5, and this time it's even worse. And Riker notices this time when the alien is like phasing in and out of existence again. Riker's like, holy crap, I can't believe what I'm seeing right now. The Enterprise just goes way faster than it really should, ends up lapping by 1 billion light years where they're supposed to be. They end up 1 billion light years away in this like weird sort of soupy area with like a bunch of like little Christmas lights floating around.
It was like a blue womb is what I wrote down with sparkly bubbles.
Yeah.
It's a weird, really interesting, very unique visual representation of kind of like the extent of existence, I would imagine. I mean, this comes up in sci-fi a lot. This is like 2001 is like the end of 2001, which if you haven't seen that, that's a great movie.
Oh, yeah, it's fantastic.
The end of that, Kubrick definitely wanted to play with the idea of like, oh, where are we if we get beyond perception, if we get to the end of the universe? I think this is kind of like Star Trek's representation of the end of the universe.
I was looking at, again, in the companion too, mentioned that the special effects guy for this episode just shot, like, and again, I'm not sure if this is represented in this episode because we saw the Netflix remaster version. Maybe they just cleaned it up. I hope not, because he said, yeah, I just filmed that stuff in my basement with water and Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was
That's
great.
awesome. That's great.
I know.
Well, that's like, I remember you and I were both big Aronofsky fans.
The Fountain, yeah.
I love The Fountain's a great movie. It's really weird, but it's a great film, and the effects for that are all practical, but they're all like microscopic liquid dynamic things that they shot with high-speed film, and they're beautiful. Yeah. But it's not like CG or anything. It's just a really simple, practical thing, which I always love.
Like, and he projects them out in space. It's beautiful. Yeah, you're right. No, I always love that. And so that is one of the more interesting things about the Star Trek companion book is that there's a lot of great, like, oh, how did they do that in the most simplistic ways? Yeah. And you get, some really imaginative stuff. So anyways, they're out there on the edge of the universe or whatever that is, and weird stuff starts happening.
Yes.
The first of which is Worf seeing his pet Targ, which is like a Klingon boar. It's
like a weird pig dog.
Yeah.
Like a cross. Like they took it was clearly a pig. And they put like a fur on it and a sort of a unicorn horn.
Yeah.
And that's a Targ, which is a Klingon pet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yar refers to it as that a kitty cat, I think she says.
And Worf was like, yes, it is. And then he turns back around and it's gone. But then Yar's old kitty cat shows up.
Interestingly, I made note mentally, I never write it down, but Yar's childhood cat manifest looks a lot like Data's cat later in the show. It looks a lot like Spot.
Yeah, it looks like Spot. Before we get more with that kitty cat, there's a really cool bit where Picard is in the turbo lift, and then the doors open up, and it's just space.
It's empty space. It's not where they are, by the way.
Right,
they're still in
they're in the
blue womb.
The womb, yeah.
It opens up, and it's just empty space.
And it looks like it's warping.
Very
it's like,
trippy.
Yeah, and he goes, oh, like that. It's a really freaky bit. He gets back in, he freaks out. And then, like, the turbo lifts, the doors close. They open up again. It's a hallway, and he's like, all right, I think I'm good to go now. I think I can go. Then Tasha Yar has sort of a flashback where she has that cat. Yeah. And then she's like, get out of here. It's not safe. There's rape gangs here.
She's back in one of her childhood colonies where and they talked about this previously in the show already, where she had to run away from rape gangs.
Yeah, that was the thing.
Which is terrible.
Oh, it's awful.
But so what this is showing is they are so far out in the universe that they are like Wesley's talked about before, they're essentially in an area where their own thoughts will manifest and change the reality. Like their thoughts are not just weird dalliances, mental dalliances where they're just like, oh, I remember I had a cat. Yeah. Like the cat shows up, and when you pick up the cat, you're literally taken back to where you were when you had that cat, and you were holding that cat and comforted by that cat, know? And Picard is like so focused on getting the ship back to normal space that when he opens the turbo lift door, automatically like back in normal space, going at warp speed, like away from the blue womb.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. a couple random crew members are experiencing the same thing. There's one part where like this guy and a girl are running down, and they say, Captain, be careful. There's that thing that's chasing us, and there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
I
don't even know if they were just, maybe they were just drunk. Like, who knows? It's a funny side story.
Yeah, there were no effects happening.
They just did a bunch of speed. They just like randomly like, replicator, give us speed.
Give us some bath
Give
salts.
us some meth. Yeah.
Give us some meth. Oh, man. So anyways, I really like this bit. There's a ballerina in a cargo bay.
Yeah.
And she's like in full ballerina outfit. She's like doing her thing. Picard gets out. And instead of being like, wow, that's really cool. Like, she can really dance.
Their dancing was great.
He just says, Ensign!
He's very annoyed. Like, what's wrong with you?
And it was a great effect that they did. It was practical.
Cool.
It was just like a pan with the ballerina in ballerina outfit. And then, like, as they're panning along with her, they cut, and she's in her Starfleet garb.
Yeah.
But it's very seamless the way they did it. They didn't need to do any special. It was just, you just chop it.
Yeah, a lot of the production in this episode is really great. A lot of stuff, and I meant to note this up top. I believe this is the first episode directed by Rob Bowman.
That's right. Yeah,
Rob Bowman.
Yeah, who did he did the X-Files movie.
He did a bunch of episodes,
and he did a lot of Next Generation episodes.
Yeah, and did episodes of the X-Files. He's done a couple movies. He's a great director.
Yeah,
we met him before.
We met him before. Yeah, he's a really great guy. Yeah, he was only 28 when he did this.
Yeah, and that's crazy to me.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
But apparently, I was reading in the Companion as well that he was a bit self-conscious about his young age, and so he like just went completely overboard preparing for it. Like, he was at the set way before anybody else, like doing storyboards, mapping everything out, and it really shows. In the episode. This is
definitely one of the best episodes of the first season.
Yeah.
And after rewatching it, I was like, God, I think that might be one of my favorite episodes of the whole show. It's a really good episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see here. After the ballerina is like, whoa, hold on a second, I'm ballerinaing right now. There's also a guy. There's also some guy randomly performing in like a cafe that we don't ever see again in the Enterprise. Because it just looks like somebody's quarters, but there's like a mini bar there. But he's performing with a quartet.
Yeah,
it's like him and a quartet, and they're performing in like an old school, like a Victorian era. I don't know where they're from, but a quartet of some sort. Picard then runs into, was this his mom or grandma?
I think it was his grandmother.
His grandma, okay. And she starts like all being freaky with him, saying, not freaky with him, but she's like, we're at the end of the universe.
Yeah, she offers him tea initially, which is a fun thing.
A staple of Picard.
Picard is always like, wants his Earl Grey tea.
Yeah.
So
she's like, or it could be the beginning.
Yeah.
And he's completely, taken. It's been, obviously probably decades and decades since he saw her because she's, obviously dead. Riker comes upon him and he's like, Captain, what's going on? And he's like, it's my grandma. And then she's gone. She's disappeared. Anyways, he's kind of had enough of this and he kind of understands what's going on because he ends to engineering, opens up the comm system to tell the entire ship, whatever happens in your thoughts, it happens in real life. So you guys need to chill out on any thoughts that might pose a danger to yourself or the ship.
Keep your thoughts positive. Keep focused on your duty and the well-being of the ship.
Yeah.
And we'll get out of this alive. It's kind of like it reminded me a bit of the end of Ghostbusters, Remember when they're like, this thing is going to read our minds. Yeah. And whatever we think of, it's going to turn it back. So then the directive was clear your minds.
And then idiot thinks
Dan
of the
Aykroyd
Marshmallow
was like,
Man.
I thought of the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
That was a great moment.
Yeah.
So anyways, let's see here. Picard is like, Kaczynski, what's going on? Why are we out here in this womb of space? And Riker at that point outs him as a fraud. He says, Wesley tried to tell me this, but I didn't listen to him. I saw it from my own eyes. This is all about the alien. This has nothing to do with Kaczynski. The alien was like phasing in and out of existence. And then Kaczynski immediately, he doesn't protest at all. He doesn't say, no, man, no, it was totally, no. He says, I thought it was maybe I did something. I thought I did some of it. No, man, you're the worst. Take that uniform off. You're terrible. Idiot. Anyways, we're back in sick bay. And Crusher proclaims that the alien is dying. So we go back to sickbay. The alien's there. Crusher has no idea what she's doing.
I don't understand how her medical instruments can read his life signs if he's so far beyond them.
Yeah.
Because it's very specious. She's like, oh, I sort of understand how his physiology works, but then it's just like, how?
Yeah.
You know, if you don't have a complete understanding of his physiology, how do you know he's dying?
Yeah, that's a pretty big leap to make because you're right. Like that's the only thing she could say definitively. But how can she come to that definitive answer when she has no idea anything else? So I don't know. I mean, what if he's just phasing back to his own home or something? Like,
I mean, this is like, well, they understand so little about the traveler's being, and the fact that that he's been phasing in and out of, by our perception, and also theirs, like Wesley and Riker saw it and confirmed it. He sort of phases in and out of existence in order to access the means to get them, to propel them to the places they go. Means that maybe death isn't necessarily a thing to him. I don't think it really is.
It could be he's phasing in and out of our existence and into whatever existence he can propel himself into and manipulate in order to have the ship go that fast, you know.
The traveler actually says at one point when he starts feeling ill and Wesley's like, are you okay? He says specifically, I've been away too long. So I think that there is some sort of a duality to existence where he sort of goes back and forth.
Yeah. So let's see here. Wes comes in. People are like immediately annoyed with him. But they also recognize that, you know, the alien has some sort of, you know, he likes Wes. He's got a thing for him. Not a thing for him, but he likes Wes.
Well, it's not dirty or anything.
No, it's not gross. Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm trying to think. He's got an affinity for him. That's what I was thinking.
Well, Wes impressed him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Not sexual.
Yes.
Right.
It's perfectly healthy, perfectly appropriate.
Mentor protege potentiality there.
Sure.
Not,
he sees potential.
Not sexual.
No.
So, anyways, Picard, he insists Crusher wake him up, even though it might really mess him up. I don't care. I want to get out of here. It's freaking me out. They wake the traveler up, and he says, basically, he sort of spills his own beans. He's like, look, I am just curious. I have an extreme knowledge of propulsion and stuff, and I want to explore. So I sort of, you know, I thought it was a good opportunity. This Kaczynski guy, I could just sort of, I mean, it's kind of messed up because now Kaczynski looks like a complete asshole, and the alien is, I guess, kind of led him on to make him believe that he was part of it. You know, he's like, oh no, Kaczynski, you're great. You're doing what you're doing. Keep on doing it.
Well, the traveler does say that on some level, he needs Kaczynski, and that got me thinking. Like I paused the episode for a couple minutes, and I started thinking about it. Like, does the traveler not have confidence? He just lacks self-confidence. So he needs Kaczynski, who has this surplus of totally unfounded self-confidence. But he's just like, oh, I mean, as long as Kaczynski's here, I have ability. I just have zero confidence.
He taps into raw hubris.
Yeah.
Exactly. He's like, the one thing I need to power my existence is arrogance.
And that's what you humans are good for. Just totally unfounded self-worth.
Ignorant arrogance. Oh man. So anyways, he wakes him up. Yeah, he still likes to explore. Wes is like trying to defend the traveler. Traveler explains that thought got them there. Kaczynski, I just have written down here, Kaczynski talks some shit. I don't know what that means exactly, but you'd think at this point, once Kaczynski has been completely and totally proven, not just to everybody, but to himself internally, to be a walking lie, a complete and utter walking lie, a sham with no future in anything of note, that he would just shut up. He would probably do best just launching himself out of an air hatch.
Yeah, he really should.
Because he is absolutely useless. But he talks some shit, and I don't know what he said exactly, but he did, because I have it written down here. The traveler, in the most charming way possible, says humans have kind of been crap until now, because Riker's like, Why do you need us? Or why
are you visiting us now?
And why have we never heard of you before?
Yeah.
And he says, because you guys are kind of interesting now, and I don't mean to be rude, but you kind of haven't been until now.
I mean, honestly, that's a fun thing to introduce at the early part of the series.
It's kind of something that Q touched on too.
True. Yeah.
And so he says, but you know what? I think I can help get you back. Then everybody leaves. Picard wants to talk to him just on his own.
Yeah, the Traveler wants to talk to Picard on his own. And this, to go back to your point earlier, is like, at this point, if Picard understands that the Traveler can get them back, why is and he's about to talk to the Traveler, like he could confirm that even better, like hard confirm it and be like, so you're sure you can get us back? And the Traveler will be like, yeah, it's cool. Maybe I'll just take a nap for a couple of days, but I'll totally get you guys back.
Yeah.
Why would Picard not do that and then be like, all right, guys, we're gonna take like a month? Because why not?
I will tell you why. I will tell you exactly why. Because after this scene, what do we see? Some idiot who started a thought fire.
That's why.
That's going to be why. Because it'd be one thing if they were just where they were before, a couple of galaxies over. Yeah. Picard has already sent out an all-crew bulletin. Everybody, what happens in your mind happens in reality. This guy is thinking about fire.
Yeah, so you're right. It's Picard's lack of confidence in his own crew, which is founded.
It's founded.
He understands that most of his crew is an idiot who's just going to be wandering around the halls like, hey, it'd be crazy if a fire burst out right now. After he's told specifically to keep his thoughts positive and just focus on his duty. This jackass going to be like, wow, it'd really suck if a huge fire burst out in the hallway right now.
Hey, there's Commander Riker. I'd hate to see him with 17 bullets in his head. Oh, God.
Just backs away slowly.
Oh, dear.
I hope that wasn't me thinking about it.
What have I done? Oh, man. Picard's like, we got to get out of here.
Yeah, all right. So Picard knows what's up.
So anyways.
And the Traveler, the reason that he wants to talk to Picard specifically is to say Wesley is
special.
Yeah.
Special, yeah.
Which is like, I feel like it's a point that they try to make too much in the first season, and they build the character of Wesley up a bit too much, in my opinion. And I think that results in a lot of fans' annoyance with Wesley as a character.
Backlash, sure, yeah.
Which is unfortunate because I actually never had huge problems with Wesley as a character, and I thought that Will Wheaton always did a good job. I liked it.
I thought especially in later seasons when again they had sort of settled more into his character as an intellectual, as a guy, as a kid who just, because they do go away from that stuff a little bit. They harp on it big time when the Traveler shows up in like season 7, the last time we see Wes, when he goes on his excursion, if you will, to find out how to do all that stuff. Later on, I was kind of, it kind of bums me out that Wes ended up in kind of a pedestrian, like he sort of washed out of Starfleet and then, tried to save like a Native American tribe on a planet going against Picard's orders. The Traveler took him away to do great things. And then we find out in the movies that he just landed back in Starfleet and was like Riker's chief engineer. And I'm like, man, you had a lot of potential. And then you just pissed it all away, and now you're just like on Riker's ship. Yeah. And it's like maybe he'll end up as a captain later on, in his life or whatever. But I liked Wesley like seasons 2 through like 5 or whatever, when they mellowed out on him a little bit and they let him be a bit more human.
They let him be a human, like the first season in particular. They're so focused on, like, the Traveler literally says Wesley is a Mozart level prodigy genius. Like Mozart, he literally compares music and propulsion, and it's like if propulsion was music, Wesley would be Mozart.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you start to dive into
really dialing it up, that's whoa.
And it's propulsion on the Traveler scale when you're bringing thought into the equation. So it's like the fabric of space-time plus thought. Wesley is all about that stuff. I'm like, just let him be a kid. Yeah, just let him be a human, because that's way too much. But anyways, he tells Picard, you should encourage Wesley, don't dump all this stuff on him, but bring him along, encourage him. And we see how that plays out at the end of the episode. So Picard is like, okay, cool, we're going to get home. He leaves sickbay, and like we said, there's a dude who there's a fire.
Standing in a hallway, just screaming about a fire.
Yeah.
Like, oh, about fire. He's sweating. He's like worried about the fire. And Picard has to tell him specifically, just stop thinking about fire. I told everyone on the ship to keep their thoughts positive, and you being the jackass that you are, you had to be like, oh, boy, it's a little cold in here. I wish a huge flame would burst out. That'll warm it up.
I wonder, like, what's it like? Was he maybe in the sonic shower when the all points bulletin came down? Like, was he not? Was he like, oh, Picard's on the lounge system? Hold on a second. I'll listen to him later. I'm wrapping up, this episode of whatever.
Sure, but if that's the case, their system of communication has to be advanced to the point where he'd get that delayed, He gets out of the shower, he gets out of the bathroom.
Got the VOD version, yeah.
And they'd be like, "Oh, while you were,
there's an emergency."
When you were busy, Picard sent out this dictate: keep your thoughts positive, stay focused on your duty.
Don't think of fire.
Don't think of fire consuming the part of the ship that you're at specifically. Try not to imagine Riker filled with 17 bullets.
Shit.
Yeah,
and then So anyways, that happens, but it's a little moment for Picard to give a pep talk. He's got his hop in his step, even if his crew doesn't. That evidently, I think that fire was, at least one aspect of it was practical, because the guy that I read in the companion, the dude who played that, hapless science officer, he was a stunt man. Apparently he did a lot of stunts on Next Generation, but that was like, you got to see his actual face. And he was like, okay. It was great.
Well, you got to scream a bit.
You
probably took direction. You might have got a SAG card out of it.
Oh, man. Anyways, Picard is then on the bridge. He gets some advice from Tashiar and Troy. And then they're like, hey, everybody just needs to chill out. He gets back on the horn and tells everybody to keep their thoughts positive. Don't think of fire. Give all your positive thoughts to the alien on the ship. To the traveler. The vast majority of the crew have no idea who this guy is. They're like, wait, who? An alien?
Yeah, that's what I figured. When he says that, I'm like, isn't everybody just already focused on their duty? Like, are they even aware that, like, maybe, I'm going to say maybe 15 or 20% of the crew is aware that a guy named Kaczynski came aboard.
Right, yeah.
And maybe of that 15 or 20%, half of those people were aware that he had a companion.
Right. And only the senior staff knows that the companion is the alien that's
that
doing
actually
stuff.
Got them out in the middle of nowhere.
Here's kind of the reckless thing about that, the thing that he sent out, is that now you have the entire crew, virtually the entire crew, who doesn't know who this guy is. Now they're thinking of this alien, and whatever is like, that's just, you don't want to be planting that in people's minds, because then they're like, alien.
Especially because,
it's going to manifest into a thing. Like, all of a sudden there's going to be like little aliens running around.
Sure.
All that people are thinking about, like, what do I think of when I think alien?
But I mean, Picard literally says your thoughts will become reality. Like, my go-to was the flip of that, where it's just like, why would anybody think of anything that's not self-serving? Why wouldn't, like, anybody would just be like, oh, wait, really? They just imagine a giant hoagie, or imagine themselves surrounded by like 30 hot naked chicks.
Imagine an orgy.
Like, that's what
exactly,
it's like.
yeah.
Riker would have done that immediately. He was like, wait a second. I could just think, oh, really?
I know.
Yeah.
He's like, immediately everybody's naked on the ship. He's like, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I've seen it all.
It just turns into Zapped. A movie with Scott Baio.
Right. Yeah. Oh, he went crazy. Oh man. Anyways, so yeah. And then so we're down on engineering. They're about to get started. The alien goes to like the main desk thing. Riker sits down. Argyle sits down, and Kaczynski, who has now been just transformed into a fucking child because he's useless.
Yeah.
He's like Kaczynski, I need you to sit down. And Kaczynski's like, really? Me? Okay. And he's like, I don't know.
It would have been a great moment if it cut back that traveler and he's just like, no, I don't. Just smacks the shit out of him.
With his giant meat hands.
Yeah, this giant fucking 3-fingered hand just smacks him. It's like, get out of my house. Gersh. Knocks him straight to the floor.
He's just, Traveler, Kaczynski He imagines a fucking garbage can for him to reside in now. Argyle looks over at him. And he's thinking of him in a fucking trash. He's like, you are pure garbage. Oh, look at that. You are pure garbage. Literally. Oh, man. Anyways, we get a shot. I can't. Troy was so annoying season 1 because they would always do this. Whenever there was like a feel-good moment, they would have Troy completely overindulge in the moment. She's like, oh, everything feels so great.
Oh, yeah. She feels an overabundance of good intention from everyone on the show.
Yeah, which is fine, but like it's just so overacted.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Kaczynski, we get a shot of Kaczynski acting like he's actually doing something. The Enterprise starts zooming, but Picard can tell somehow that it's not enough. He's like, it's not working. It's not doing enough. Wes then gets up and he gives a little love tap to the alien's hand, to his weird paw, which apparently does, is enough of a motivational moment for the alien, because then he starts phasing and then he disappears altogether and the Enterprise is back in the Alpha Quadrant.
Back to that spot where it started the whole...
And
Geordi says they never left warp 1.5.
Yeah.
The ship's logs. Even though at some point, I mean, their initial journey, they were all uniformly like, we checked and double checked. We're beyond warp 10. This is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if it was the Enterprise. I mean, they can show it however they want to, but I wonder if the alien, I mean, maybe the alien wasn't the one phasing in and out. Maybe it was the Enterprise that was actually phasing in and out.
Yeah.
On their way to wherever they were going.
I mean, they never really fully, they bring the traveler back a couple times. And again, it is one I really like that character. And Eric, like I said, Eric Menig does a great job.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
They never really concretely explain how his race works, where his power come from. For
a show that whenever they hit on something that's pretty good, like you through the course of all the 3 sort of major series, Next Gen, Deep Space, and Voyager, you get especially in Voyager, you get a good deal of info about the Q continuum.
Yes.
I mean, even in Next Generation, you get Corbin Bernsen's character.
Yeah.
And you find out quite a bit about them. And that happens with a couple of different races. But yeah, the Traveler's race, for as powerful as he seems to be, not a lot of info.
No.
Yeah.
Very mysterious.
Yeah. So anyways, Picard's on the bridge with everybody, calls for Wes. And his way of encouraging Wes is to make him an acting ensign. Which is a pretty big leap, but Picard is, feeling, I guess, good that
it's a good way. I mean, it sort of warms Picard up to the idea of children, which is nice.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they play with that idea throughout the whole series, Picard's hatred of children. But
yeah. He shouldn't get his hopes too. Like if he expects Wes to be the benchmark for kids, he's got another kid coming.
Yeah.
Because Wes is like, uber kid. The other kids are usually probably just crappers.
Well, he's essentially been told that Wes is a Mozart level prodigy.
Yeah, so he's like, yeah. Anyways, hitching my wagon to that horse. So yeah, and that's the episode. Like I said, it was a really good one.
Good episode. Yeah,
it was a really great episode.
I love the idea. That idea comes up in sci-fi quite a bit. The idea that thought and reality are very intertwined.
Yeah.
Space sci-fi, like Solaris is a great example of that.
Yeah.
Also, Event Horizon, a movie
that was real good movie.
But
yeah. So anyways, let us know what you guys think in the comments. We're going to be doing a lot more of these. Obviously, we're going to keep on trucking along. If you guys have questions or thoughts about upcoming episodes that we're going to be reviewing, we're doing them in chronological order. So just let us know what episode you have a question about, and leave us that question. If you want to do that on the Twitter as well, at MF Steve here, I'll put it right here, and at
Jeff Actual.
There you go. I'll put that there. And let us know what you guys think and what questions you have, and we'll read them here on the show. And until then, we'll talk to you guys later.